Hi, my name is Lenore Philips, and I am the Vice President of Phelps Media Group. I'm also a competitive amateur show jumper. Boyd, how often do you worry about the health and well-being of your horses?
You know, as a three-day event rider, really you're only as good as the horses that are underneath you. And it's just one of those sports that it takes so many years to get the horses trained and experienced and knowledgeable enough to compete at the top sport. You know, longevity is really the name of the game. And thing I found out a number of years ago is coming up with a system and a way with your management of making sure that your horse has the longest possible career. It can compete at the top of the sport for long periods of its life. You know, part of my job too is to get the very best out of the horses. They've got to be feeling as good as they can be.
Tom, how many horses do you have in your training program at any given time?
We carry 90 to 100 horses in our training program at any given time.
That's a ton. You know, Tom, you mentioned that you're a professional reining horse trainer. Can you talk about, in terms of your profession, how often do you worry about the health and well-being of your horses?
We can't compete at the level we want to compete at if those horses are not sound and healthy and happy. And in Texas, we have to deal also with the summertime and the 105-degree heat and the humidity. And so, I mean, I think about my horse's health and welfare 24/7.
Mm-hmm. As a professional, you have a very rigorous competition schedule. Can you talk about how hard it is for you to find the perfect balance between work and recovery for the horses that are in your program?
Yeah, for work and recovery for the reining horses, we definitely pay really close attention to, you know, how hard we ride them on a daily basis. It's very important that they have the recovery time that they need. You know, we ride 5 days a week and make sure they get turned out and get time off over the weekend. So, you know, and again, we use the BEMER daily on them during the week.
Mavis, how about you? And then can you also talk about like how grueling the travel is? Because a lot of times you guys are going show to show every single week for weeks on end.
Obviously this year has been a little bit different because we had the big break from the shows. But the one I found, especially after having a break myself after an injury, was I was really able to use that time to get fit. And now that we're back on the show scene, we've got, I think, 7 or 8 weeks of shows coming up now. And even with rotating horses in and out and having them ship back and forth to the shows and all that, I find that it really helps raise the level of competition for them. I don't feel like I'm having to sort of plan around giving them as much time off because of injury or exhaustion or needing them to have a big recovery time. So it's definitely helped as far as that goes with my program for the last couple of years.
Yvonne, having a horse who can achieve complex dressage movements at the Grand Prix level is pretty rare and pretty special. Can you tell us about the ways that you work to preserve your horses and keep them as fit as possible for as long as possible?
For me, that is actually, and I think for any athlete, that is the biggest challenge, is being able to recover, warm up, work efficiently, effectively, and then the recovery for it. That's one of the biggest things for me. It is easier for me to do it at home when I'm in the same environment, the same situation, the same time, weather conditions. Where it becomes a huge challenge for me is to try and get that same effect and performance I do at home to be able to replicate that at a show when it's, you know, the horse is nervous, it's different weather conditions, they've traveled maybe, you know, been on a flight, or that's where the challenge for me comes in. And that's where, again, I'm very much from working with my physiotherapist and myself, having been injured and being an athlete, to me, it's all about circulation. We all know and we hear about, I think when anything we have, you know, the best way to cure it or to make it better is, we always say we need to increase circulation. There's medications that do it. There's exercises that do it. And having a product like the BEMER, that you can trigger that circulation you need for the performance you need, and yet the horse is at a standstill, not wasting energy and their bodies, for me has been huge. That's for me the biggest challenge taken out of my warm up, that I don't worry about that part. So that's been amazing.
Marlis, for many competitive programs, it's difficult for them to find a balance between work and recovery. Can you talk about the importance of good recovery for performance horses and how BEMER can help with this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm very animate about this because as everyone who loves sports know that human athletes know since a long time that their ability to perform is directly correlated with the quality of their recovery. They don't have that quality of rest.
Mireille, as an equine therapeutic practitioner, what is it that you find you treat most with the BEMER Horse Set?
Yes, a lot of horses will have particular areas in their body that they have issues with. And what I like about the BEMER Horse Set is that I have a tool now that I can treat the horse as a whole, systemically, from their cells to their organs, their musculoskeletal system, their skin, and also be able to balance their nervous system.
Boyd, can you tell us a little bit about the horse management practices in your training stables and how the BEMER fits into the daily routine of those horses?
Yeah, for me, the thing I love about the BEMER is the recovery sort of portion of it. I find that we really jump the horses big, we gallop them, we push them, and I find putting the BEMER on them in the afternoon, it sort of just allows them to recover and sort of get the body flow, get the blood flow flowing, and that your horse, you have a horse it's raring to go and ready to go the next day. It's recovered and feeling good, and it's ready to go back to work again.
So equine sports are pretty unique in the world of professional sports because you have a partnership and one of the partners can't communicate. The horse can't tell you how they're feeling on any given day. Can you talk about how you pride yourself on knowing how your horses are feeling and how that feeling then helps you to decide what's going to be next in their training program?
I think one of the most important thing is the trainer in our sport is to get a real good understanding of how your animal's feeling. I think for us to really expect them to give us their best and jump the really big jumps and to gallop and to push themselves hard, they've got to be feeling fresh. They've got to be recovered from the work they've been putting in. They can't be stiff and sore and sour. And it's almost a bit of a duty, and I think as a trainer, obviously your horse can't really talk to you, but you can definitely feel when they're suffering a little bit. And it's important that we don't try to expect that they're going to give us their best performance if they're feeling sore.
Yvonne, can you explain the concept of throughness to the audience and why it's important specifically in dressage training? Also, how does the BEMER help you achieve this specific feeling in your horses?
Throughness is for me, it's a difficult thing to describe because it's actually a feeling. It's a feeling that you get when I'm on the horse. I know we're in throughness because the horse is carrying himself, self-carriage, the positive impulsion, tension that I've been able to create. The horse has been able to is giving me without a lot of pressure from me and aids from me. It's a little bit like when you watch an amazing ballroom dancing and the couple just flows together from one side to the other. You don't see any dramatic movements, and yet they're totally in sync. Throughness, to be able to perform with the best throughness in dressage, to me is the same thing. So you need your partner, my partner in this case, the horse needs that body tension to be able to carry me. And yet I need to be able to perform all these incredibly tense difficult movements without interfering with them, and they need to give it to me, and there's no way I can force it out of them. So the way that, again, the BEMERs help me to do that is that the better the horse is feeling and is prepared and isn't stiff and muscle wise, the better and easier the horse is going to be able to want to perform for me.
Mireille, can you talk about how you feel about being able to gauge how the horses that are either under your care or your own personal horses are feeling, and then how much the knowledge of how your horses is feeling dictates, you know, what you choose to do with them or recommend that your clients do with them on any given day?
Yes, for sure. A lot of the modalities out there and a lot of the modalities in my practice usually work with the horses in sections. So you go from section to section and you focus on a specific area in the body, if it's a leg or a neck or the back. And a lot of tools and modalities are made for that. With the BEMER, what I like is that it's a tool that you can treat the horse systemically, the body as a whole, from the cellular level to the organs, musculoskeletal system, issues in the skin. And also the horse BEMER regulates the nervous system. And as a rider, but also as a practitioner, if you have to ride or work on a nervous horse, that, you know, takes up quite a bit of your time before you can get that horse relaxed. And every one of my patients gets to use the horse BEMER first, and they relax within minutes. It puts them into parasympathetic state in their nervous system, which is the rest, relax, digest, and recover state. And therefore, my work is way more effective. I can work a lot deeper on the issue that they have going on. And for a rider, if they use the BEMER before they ride or train or compete, they will have a much more balanced horse that has better relaxation, but also better focus.
Mavis, you have a reputation in the industry for being able to get the most out of nervous horses and help them to perform at a top level. How has the BEMER played a role in that type of success, and what other ways do you utilize the BEMER in your program?
In my personal experience, I've found that a lot of times those horses don't necessarily get given a full chance. I think people sort of overlook them because of their attitude. And I think one of the biggest things I found with the BEMER was how helpful it is as far as really being able to relax the horses that do have a lot of energy.
All right, Marlis, can you talk about how often through the course of your day as a veterinarian do you worry about the health and well-being of your clients' horses? And then I understand you own your own horses, so about your own horses as well.
So I obviously worry continuously about the health of my client horses because I'm called in for a reason. Now, in my case, it's mostly from a holistic perspective at this time, meaning I would rather be called in before anything is wrong. Because prevention is, what is it worth? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So not to make any claims, but I do feel that BEMER helps tremendously by means of that, enhancing that microcirculation to help that horse prevent any issues that may be caused by stressors or performance or hard routines or even a lack thereof. In the case of backyard horses like my own, they probably suffer more from inactivity and boredom other than anything else. So I feel that the BEMER creates the conditions for the horse's body to heal itself better. And both for the performance horses as well as for more recreational type horses like my own, I feel it's extremely useful from that perspective. And a great deal of concerns are alleviated when I know that BEMER is utilized in either in my own horses or my clients' horses.
So Boyd, you just mentioned that part of your job is getting the horses into tip-top shape and having them be the best that they can be. Do you find it difficult to find the perfect balance between doing enough work and having the horses and yourself get enough recovery?
One of the biggest challenges that we have is for 3-day eventing, you've really got to train the horses hard. You've got to work on your dressage, your show jumping, your cross country. You've really got to put in the miles, and the event itself is grueling, you know. So, and I think one of the keys I've found is that, you know, you've got to give your horse time to recover, to freshen up, but you've also got to put in the miles and the hard work to, you know, to train your horse, make sure it's fit enough. So it's a really, really tough balance of pushing yourself and your horse to make sure it's capable of these big events, and then also not having them burnt out and sour and sore by the time you get to the big shows.
Mireille, what is it that you like most about being involved with BEMER as an IBD, and what do you find most rewarding about sharing this product with others?
Yeah, well, first of all, what I like most about BEMER is the product. There's really nothing on the market that can do what BEMER does. They have, you know, their patent waveform. And the other thing is that I mainly work with horses, but BEMER has allowed me to also have a device for the riders or for anybody else at the barn or for their family members with the BEMER for People. And working with horses can be very strenuous on our body. I've been using the BEMER for People myself now. As an IBD, what I like is that it says independent BEMER distributor, so you're independent. You can basically, you're not dependent on an employer. You have your own BEMER business. You can just focus on therapy or on sales, but you can also create a team with BEMER and have different team members on your team. And when we do get together at events, and I know this year it's been a little bit of a challenge because everything has moved online, but if we are at events, it's great to share with other IBDs, testimonials, and stories about how amazing the BEMER is for horses and for people.
Mireille, we mentioned that this is a new version of the BEMER Horse Set that was just rolled out in 2020. Can you talk about what you like most in the new version of this BEMER Horse Set?
Yeah, BEMER really listened to the feedback of the distributors and our customers and the people in the field like myself that were working every day with the BEMER Horse Set. And that resulted in a product that is longer and larger. You can actually adjust it now by a foot. We went from 8 coils for the blanket to 19 coils. It doesn't mean that the intensity, the frequency changed. It just means it covers more horse. They used a beautiful water-resistant product material with breathable mesh inserts. It has a soft area for the sensitive withers. You can adjust it in several areas. And the biggest change for us, for the horse people, is the cuff. We usually had one smaller single cuff. And now we have 2 big cuffs, or a lot of people like to call them leg boots. They cover the whole lower leg from the knee all the way to the hoof. And we were just talking about how important circulation in the hoof is for horses. So you can do 2 legs at the same time, the front legs or the back legs, or you can use them on other localized areas. And we went from 1 coil to 3 coils. So a lot more therapy into that leg. The bag, the bag was, somebody was really thinking about the design of that bag. It's easy to store, bring with you from stall to stall, or bring with you to competitions. So we've been really excited how well this the company BEMER responded to all our needs in the field.
Boyd, 3-day eventing is grueling. Can you please talk about how BEMER specifically helps with the recovery and stamina for your horses?
Yeah, so 3-day eventing is basically a triathlon. We've got 3 phases. We've got the dressage, which is the first day, which is sort of the floor routine that the gymnasts do. The second day is the exciting day. That's the cross country. It's about 3 or 4 miles, about 30 or 40 big fences. And that's the real exciting part of the day. That's the make or break of the day. Then the hardest part is then coming out the next day and having a horse that's fresh and feeling good, and hopefully it jumps a really good, clear show jumping round. So that's the name of our game. You've got to sort of have a horse that's good and tough and quiet and relaxed in the dressage, then bold, brave and fit in the cross country, then, you know, careful, recovered and sharp for the show jumping. So it's a really tough sport just to have all 3 phases go as well as they can go at the one event. For me, the BEMER, my top horses, I actually put the BEMER on them in the morning before they get trained. I feel like that it sort of just creates circulation. It sort of almost feels like my horse is warmed up before I start training him. And then the bulk of the horses would receive the BEMER therapy in the afternoon. And I think this sort of helps a little bit more in recovery. Again, blood circulation, the blood flow, the horses seem to enjoy it. And then also we've got the different BEMER tools that we can put on their legs, or if they've got specific injuries around their body.
Thank you. So anybody that knows about you probably knows that you're pretty accident prone. Does it make a difference for you to know that the same technology that is helping you is also being utilized to help your horses? And does that improve your ability to compete?
You know, after years and years of riding, I think I've had more falls and crashes than hot dinners. I think I've broken nearly every bone in my body. Some of them are twice over. So it's, you know, if you're in this sport for a long period of time, you do get injuries. And for me, that's where I started to really believe in the BEMER. I have the B spot and the B pad that I put on specific injuries that are a bit sore. And that was what really sold me on the product. And I thought, you know, if this can improve my performance and how good I'm feeling, then, you know, I'd love to have that same experience with the horses. And I think that was, you know, for me, that was the biggest sell, is that I'm a true believer in the product.
As a veterinarian, I'm sure you treat a wide range of clients, from professionals all the way to people that just have horses in their backyard as pets. Can you talk about how often you recommend that recreational horse users utilize the BEMER for the well-being of their equine partners?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, every horse is a horse. It has the same horse body, the same blood volume, the same microcirculatory system. So from that respect, you know, the BEMER is a gift to any horse, no matter what category they fall into. Now, the recreational horses maybe even need it more because they, you know, the athlete horses, their cardiovascular system is kept in top shape, hopefully. And so their microcirculation relatively may be even better than the backyard horse or the recreational horse that doesn't get as much exercise. In my cases, in the case of my horses, I can for sure testify that you know, not only they may be bored, you know, by not doing enough, but also they may not get enough movement. And so I think it's highly valuable to use it for them.
Tom, you've been in the industry for a really long time. How has the way that you've taken care of your horses changed during the course of your career, And are there things now that you focus on that you didn't focus on before?
Yeah, for sure. We take care of our horses different now than we did when we first started in the industry. There's so much more technology now, so much more knowledge of how to take care of a horse that, we took care of them when we first started the best we could. I mean, we thought we were doing a great job, and, and we were for the time. But now there's so much more technology and so many more things at your disposal to take care of horses. And we know better the kinds of treatments that are productive and work for our horses. So, along those lines, the BEMER is new technology for us, in the recent past. And so it's really important for us to have stuff like that. And, technology, I'm sure when we ask this question, 10 years from now, we're gonna know more than we do now. But for now, I mean, I think there's the biggest difference is technology continues to, and our knowledge of the horses continues to increase. And I think with the BEMER, we're at the cutting edge.
Well, I would like to thank all of you for participating in the 2020 BEMER Convention Equine panel. You all brought a lot of great insight to the table, and we very much appreciate you being ambassadors for the BEMER Horse Set and to helping to spread the word about all of the positive things that this can bring to anybody's program, and for being as successful as you are, and great testaments to the BEMER technology. So we wish you all the best of luck for the rest of the year, and we look forward to seeing what you all get up to now that you're back to competition.